So we took a gamble at Not a Vampire and basically their videos and how they set up their videos. We took a look at Unusually Eric and how he does his stuff. And we took a look at Jasper and Bridget from the Social Disease podcast and their format for dealing with the Rick Murray situation. But of course, as I said in the first video, there were four of them. And basically, for the fourth video, I go with the one thing that I know best. And of course, a lot of people said that basically it's egotistical narcissism and all that crap. But I don't think so. Basically, I just want to tell you how I think about the Degrassi Rick Murray situation. Although some of it might be influenced by Vamp's stuff or Eric or even the Social Disease podcast. Basically, I'm going to give you the skinny and basically talk about the Degrassi Reddit and their part in helping me out. So when researching my stuff for the Degrassi stuff about Rick Murray, when I first decided to make a manifesto about it in 2018, I figured I need like something online to help me improve myself. So Reddit was one of the biggest things. And lo and behold, there was a Reddit about Degrassi. And I'm like, lo and behold, there was some people talking about storylines and all that. So basically, I decided to enter myself into this whole situation and think about how things could get better and all that. So I decided to listen to the Degrassi Reddit community. Basically, they have some opinions and stuff. So I likely decided to put myself in. Stupidly, I didn't change my name from Kuttergaki on the Reddit because, I wanted to keep my name and all that for some strange reason. But, I still made like videos and posted them on the Degrassi Reddit under my name, Cutter Historical and all that. So, yeah. So they can make the connection. So, regardless of what ends up happening, is that the Degrassi Reddit community was basically a good muse for me, like Vampire was. So basically, I instead used Degrassi Reddit's things and basically quote them. Not all of them have been quoted like by their Reddit names. Basically, I just say, well, someone says blah 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 blah. I do credit the Degrassi Reddit community a lot in my videos, in my big playlists and all that, because without them, I wouldn't have the papers, the paper sense to do the Rick Murray situation. People like I always had questions, thinking, "Whoa, what about this moment? What do you think about this?" Blah blah blah, and people put up Rick Murray like posts and all that, and I respond saying, "Yeah, okay, that makes sense," and I always quote them and say who this person was and all that. Needless to say, that the Degrassi Reddit community is basically my saving grace, if you will. Kind of blasphemous, don't you think? But that's just the way it is. So anyway, without the Degrassi Reddit, I probably would not have bumped into like Not a Vampire or Unusually Eric or Jasper and Bridget from the Social Disease podcast. And one thing I forgot to mention about with Jasper and Bridget was that basically when I did the live stream, like I commented on a live stream, I basically said I have a lot of stuff and I'll send you a Twitter message about about my playlists and all that. And basically, I was like, well, they're probably going to look at it and basically make judgments based on that. But to their credit, they didn't need my material. They went with their material, and I think that they made a lot more sense with stuff than I ever did. So yeah. So basically, I'm gonna tell you about the playlist that is down in the description below. It's basically Cutter's take on the Rick Murray timeline. I know that I did a similar YouTube playlist for Vamp and for Not Unusually Eric, but well, I couldn't do one for the Social Disease because obviously they don't have YouTube videos based on that. So anyway, so I put up 25 videos, which is pretty good, don't you think? And I basically said, well, it had to be it had to make sense with Rick Murray, and it had to basically make sense about my takes on it and try to describe what I'm trying to say. So the 25 videos in order are, well, I made a lot of them Degrassi unpopular opinions and all that. So that's the majority of it. The first part of the thing is the Degrassi unpopular opinions. And so that was 15 of the 25 videos are basically Degrassi unpopular opinions / hot takes. And then there's 10 more of from my other playlist, major playlist, the Degrassi shooting thing and others. Well, other Degrassiisms. So basically, I I will describe the unpopular opinion of the videos and all that, basically what I'm getting at before I give you my super take. Anyway, the first one is basically the first unpopular opinion video from my big playlist. It says students should be partially blamed about Rick's bullying. I basically go into detail about why the students basically should be blamed for Rick's bullying, like the Rick Murray situation, more so than you think. I mean, I know that Alex Spinner, Jay, Radich, and Emma should be blamed in a sense, but basically I go into detail about the students being partially blamed about Rick's bullying and all that. So basically, the students got away with it and all that. Then I also add the next unpopular Degrassi opinion I did was Emma wanted Sean. And I basically said that, Emma, in the wake of having a gun in her face and Sean saving her life, actually wanted to be with Sean. And Back in Black, she basically figures that, she wants to be who she is and all that. So, yeah, it wasn't like, Emma wanted to be with Sean. I mean, she didn't have a boyfriend and all that. And I think it was probably just survivor's guilt or something because, Sean was there for her. Next, I went with an unpopular opinion about why nobody stopped Rick despite their chances and all that. And I go into detail basically saying that why did Rick not get stopped when he had the gun and all that? And, who was responsible for not stopping him? I did an unpopular. I also put an unpopular opinions video about Rash's gripe on Emma, and that basically, Rash had a gripe with Emma, stemming back from season 2 with the genetically modified food thing, and basically, like Emma gave up on the GMO foods thing for the school, but she basically said my right to free speech was compromised, and basically Raj is a tyrant, and basically it's worth being suspended over. And Raj thought that Emma was probably hoping that the students would get on Raj's case, and basically Raj would have to be more of a tyrant to get the school back, in his words. And I basically say that, Emma was trying to calm Raj down, saying that we don't want him at the school. We don't want Rick at the school, and to say, this is not one of your stupid crusades and all that. And it goes to prove that Raj basically was upset with Emma's crusades and all that. And I also didn't mention this in the Jasper and Bridget thing. I forgot to mention it, but basically, I think they made a point saying that why did Radich not stop the whole Emma campaign and all that? Well, because he thought that, he probably thought that the campaign was attacking him in a sense, but basically he knew that it wasn't breaking any rules. It was a silent campaign and all that. And basically he ignored Rick's cries for help and all that. So basically he was villainous too. I also talk about Alex's role in the Rick situation because, she had to deal with domestic violence firsthand because her mother would be beaten up by her boyfriend. So basically, Alex would have to help her mother cry herself to sleep and with bandages and all that. Like, all that. And I basically say that Alex said that, Rick is the personification of every domestic abuser. I also put a unpopular opinion about zombie Emma because that was the time frame after the shooting and after between the Back in Black and Secret Part 2. So basically, it was like, well, boy, Emma didn't sound that good. And was there problems and all that? So anyway, that wasn't too good to be true. So that was hard to believe. And I talked about something, and did the writers change your character because of pressure from people? I also talk in season 4. I did a video in season 4 about deleted scenes. Basically, that those deleted scenes that you see in the season 4 stuff on YouTube and on the DVD thing, they could have worked out, especially with writers trying to explain to Marco and Alex why Rick was allowed back at school, and basically, the fact that Raditch actually bumped into Spinner and basically busted him for making fun of Rick being Chicken Boy, and Snake basically getting on Raditch's nerves the first time. I also did an unpopular opinion about Spinner. He should have kept his mouth shut because he was bragging to Jimmy about the painted feathers thing, and basically that led to a comedy of errors, and basically the fact that Spinner and Jay basically took the heat off themselves, put it on Jimmy, mostly because Spinner needed to take the heat because he realized that Jimmy would narc on him. I also did an unpopular opinion one about season 4 with the school board, basically that did they have stuff to hide? Why they didn't fire Raditch? Maybe they felt terrible. Maybe they had to pay a terrible price and all that. One Degrassi unpopular opinion video you should really watch is the 10th one in the playlist, which is should we be sympathetic to Rick? And basically, I give my take on should we be sympathetic with Rick. I also did another Degrassi unpopular opinion is basically Rick's dad. Was he a reason for Rick's temper? And I basically try to debunk the fact that it might not have been all Rick's dad's fault. It probably was to deal with Paige because Rick was upset that Paige was probably coaxing Terry not to listen to Rick. I did a one about Spinner's forgiveness. Should we forgive Spinner about what happened to Jimmy and all that? Another video is Raditch's hate should be lower. Well, I did an unpopular opinion, and I also did one for the main playlist, the Degrassiisms playlist, about the Reddit community saying that they hated on Raditch and said, if you want to talk about Reddit community, here's why. I know that it's hard. It was hard to pick one of them. I didn't want both of them. I needed one of them. And so basically I just went with the unpopular opinion. Raditch's hate should be lower. And basically I tried to explain why. And I also did an unpopular opinion about Emma was not the straw that broke Rick. I think in the wake of the shooting and all that. I think that's how I described it and all that. Hang on one sec. Because I want to get the what you call it? Some people think Emma's brushing off of Rick was why he got a gun in season 4. I don't think so. So I basically talked about that. And, speaking of Emma, and then I did an unpopular video about Emma's involvement in Rick bullying, why, Emma gets shot on in a sense, and basically why she should be hated less. There was one on, and then with the regular stuff, I did a Rick Murray case study in 2019 during the 15th anniversary of Time Stands Still Part 2. It's a little dated. I mean, I know there's a lot of stuff on in the year and a half since, but I did a series called 5 Things Someone Did or Did Not Do about the Rick Murray situation. I did one on Rick, Raditch, Alex Spinner and Jay got their own one. I mean, got Alex/Spinner/Jay, other characters, and Emma. So basically, I did that. I did a Degrassi Aftermaths video, but of course it's a little dated because it's from 2019. I may have not picked up on stuff. Well, that. The second last video on the playlist is Degrassi shooting honest opinions, because I give my opinions on stuff. That was to celebrate the 15th anniversary of Time Stands Still Part 2, and number 25 is the 20. I did 20 Degrassi what ifs to do with the season 4 storyline. Basically, I try to figure things out, but sometimes I'm not the best person. So that's basically describing my stuff in a nutshell in the playlist in the description below, and basically how I came to this. So basically, I know I have an ugly bug. You don't have to say it. But anyway, I'll give you my Taco Bell take next. It would be easy for me to basically tell you where Jasper, Bridget, Vamp, and Eric went wrong with how I perceived things in the Rick Murray situation. But, they made some good points. I mean, I can't really say that Vamp taught me something new, because obviously Vamp is the reason why I did these videos in the first place. I mean, unusually Eric taught me a few things myself and all that. And when I look at his take, it's like, there's not a lot going on. And basically, it just is what the Reddit community would say, that basically, he's got to feel hate for Emma for pushing herself in things, basically, mad at everyone for not doing anything, embarrassed by the school and Emma and all that. And basically, nothing really that um gets to me. But one point he does make is the fact about the eating disorder. Because, he commented on one of the videos about in secret, he commented about how the eating disorder may not have started in season 5, but it started earlier. And as I said in my take on his stuff, it's like, yeah, you're right. It does make a bit of sense. But the social disease told me some stuff that basically I was shocked with. They dove into Rick pushing people for forgiveness and all that, and basically he never proved he changed, and he basically was trying to buy off his forgiveness by forgiveness. It's possible, but like I knew this. But the fact of the matter is, they elaborated on it in such a way. It's like, oh my gosh, I never thought of it, and they went in deep with Rick's breaking point and Rick as a whole. It's like, wow, I'm shocked about the perception, the Paige and Rick dynamic, and basically, pushing people to forgive him and all that. That's kind of what Spinner did in the second half of Eye of the Tiger. And it makes so much freaking sense. And all that. And, they said a lot of things. They were talking about how Emma was so inconsistent with the crusade to get rid of Rick and all that. They talked about how Toby was a good friend and all that. They didn't really talk a lot about Alex or Radich or, Ellie and all that. There were a lot of storylines that they didn't cover and all that. But to them, I'm like, mind blown. They went so much in depth on Sean, Toby, Jimmy, Spinner, and Emma. Like, it's like, yeah, they didn't really do Jimmy favors after the shooting and all that. Basically, we didn't see him completely recover and all that. But, people struggle with stuff. Will be put in a wheelchair and all that. And, they didn't really do anything about it. Yeah. And social disease made me mind blown about the control issues and also about weaponizing trauma and all that. I never would have guessed that. And all that. And another thing I forgot to mention about them in the video about them is that they talked about, did they punish Emma with an STI for her role in the Rick Murray situation? Makes you think, but no. So anyway, here's my whole opinion on the Rick Murray timeline. So basically, season 3, Rick Ishai wants to ask Terry to be his girlfriend, and basically Terry said, "Yeah, that's a good idea because no boy likes me because I'm a fat cow." Her words, not mine. So basically, Rick thinks that he's got it made in the shade, if you will. He's got a girlfriend. However, the bad side and the jealous side of Rick passes out. Basically, he's jealous that Jimmy is paying a lot of attention to Terry and all that. He's also jealous of the fact that Terry seems to listen to Paige and the clique more than him. And he's upset by that. He pushes Terry into a wall, and then basically they break up. But then, she wants to be with a boy for a road trip, with Jimmy, Hazel, and Spin Page. So, she forgives Rick so much, but, Rick doesn't really change in everyone's mind, and they say, we have to keep an eye on Rick. And then basically they piss Rick off so much that he decides to walk away. Terry tries to track him down, and Terry tells him everything will be fine, it's just Paige. And then basically Rick goes off the deep end. Puts her in a coma, seems to run away from it. He gets pulled from school from his parents and all that. So basically it was like, okay, Rick got away with it, but they got rid of Terry. Kind of stupid. And then season 4 he comes back, and it's like, wow, amazing. Why did they have to bring him back? Why? So when you look at things, it's got to be the fact that Rick didn't really change. Paige and her group thought that by Rick coming back, it was terrible and all that, and it seemed terrible. The worst part about Degrassi is that they had 2 solid deleted scenes to do with the Rick Murray situation. One in Mercy Street, the episode when he came back, and one in Time Stand Still. And they didn't put it in the first run product. That would have been freaking tastic. I mean, okay, yeah, you wanted to give the B plot of Joey maybe losing his house and Caitlyn coming to snatch it up, all that. But I mean, you could have taken like 30 seconds away from them and then put the deleted scenes in. The main product, because the deleted scenes, like I mentioned in a few of my videos, especially the unpopular opinion one, actually gives a whole new background towards Radish's role in this thing. And I know that the three people did Radish's after stuff to varying degrees, but the fact is that the deleted scenes were huge. And I can't stress this enough. This would be huge. I mean, Alex and Marco know firsthand that Radish basically says that my hands are tied. He doesn't have a criminal charge, so I can't, you know, push him out of my school and all that. And unless a student has a criminal charge, he or she will stay in my school. That's all there is to it, like it or not. But to look at that, it's like, is Radish hiding something? Is Radish basically saying that I can't help you out because I refuse to help you out, or I can't help you out because that's basically how it is with the school board and all that? That's also a point. And, you know, as I said, you know, Radish is ticked off with Emma joining the cause, saying that her stupid crusades are ruining him. And, you know, with the genetically modified foods thing, he has, if he remembers correctly, which I think he will, is that, you know, Emma called him out in front of the school of the video system. And basically, Radish was miffed. And maybe that's why he went bonkers in season 3 to gain back control. Although that the punishment, like the problems with Jimmy, Hazel, Sean, Elliott, Toby were all suspendable and detentionable. I know it's not a word, but fight me on it. But when you look at the deleted scene, it's like it makes Radish out. Well, it depends on how you take it. Is it that Radish probably wanted to get rid of Rick, not allow Rick back, but basically he couldn't because, you know, lack of a criminal charge and all that? Or you also say that basically Radish is probably probably bad at this and basically using that as an excuse to say why Rick is back at the school. Some people even think it's about the GPA. When Alex says that, somebody said, yeah, in season 4 there was a background talk with Radish and Armstrong about finances, and now Radish couldn't give Armstrong the materials he needed. And basically, maybe that's what it is. Maybe Alex thinks that basically because they're losing money to bring Rick back, maybe they'll get some kind of money or something like that. So the fact of the matter is that you can take that and basically, you know, yeah, Emma going to Paige's clique was because she was petty about Chris being with Liberty. Why? I mean, like maybe Emma broke up with Chris and probably was hoping that Chris would crawling back to her. But Emma had no use for Chris. She just wanted Chris to stay away from Liberty. And Manny called her out on it. Manny told Liberty, and basically they both threw Emma under the bus. Manny did have signs that she wanted to help Emma out, but Liberty basically told her not to. And basically, in the bathroom, Emma sees Liberty and Manny and basically tells them that I'm going with Paige to the dot and have new friends, making them jealous, saying that, you know, you have the nerve to kick me out, I'll get you back. Now, I'm not defending Emma's behavior in this situation because Emma screwed up, and I will take that as it is. So anyway, you know, Emma is told that basically, you know, we've got to do something, silent campaign with domestic violence and orange ribbons, and it works out. But Emma didn't foresee the students basically using it as a catalyst to beat the tar out of Rick and all that. But also, you got to remember that with the school not really doing anything, like Radish not doing anything about Rick in the first place, the students felt helpless. They basically said that, you know, we'll have to take matters in our own hands. If Radish won't do it, we have to do it. I mean, yeah, they had a right to their mom mentality, as Van puts it. But the fact is that, you know, Emma didn't foresee it happening. Nobody did. Like, you know, Emma probably felt guilty. And basically, you know, Rick wants to give Emma his money and all that. Buying forgiveness, probably going after Emma. I think he wants to talk to Emma because he realizes that maybe Emma is being told about an anti-Rick rhetoric by Paige. As I said in one of the videos, in the playlist, I said that basically Paige, he had it in his head that Paige was spreading false lies about him and all that. So basically, he hated Paige because Paige was always pushy. She pushed Terry into her clique and to stay in her clique and not to listen to Rick in his mind. Like, I don't blame Rick at all for that. But yeah. So basically, Emma realizes that her campaign is turning into a violence thing and basically being hypocritical. So she decides to end it and basically said that this cause is not worth it. And basically, she gets ignored. Basically, she has no friends. Rick takes a shine to her. Emma basically tries to cover the base, her butt by saying that, what I did was only because I felt sorry for you. This doesn't mean anything. I mean, Emma covering her own bases. I mean, that's understandable. But did she foresee how Rick was going to pursue her and all that? Probably. With the fact of the matter of Rick being in the same quiz bowl thing as Emma, Toby, and Heather St. Clair, basically, yeah, Emma didn't really have much of a friend group. And basically, she was easy pickings for Rick in that regard. The fact of the matter is that, Emma probably felt bad for this thing and basically pinned things on herself. But we'll get more on that later. As is, Rick and Toby have a friend dynamic. It's shocking that, Toby was still being Rick's friend, even though he probably heard that Rick was an abuser and all that. But I think with Toby not having JT around, he felt easy pickings and all that. And besides, they shared a lot of common goals, like being geeks, role-playing people, wanting to kiss certain females, even had to lackles. Like, really? But anyway, yeah. So, there's not much. And then Timestamp still pops up. Rick has a nice hat on. Spinner and Jimmy are bullying him and basically put him in a dumpster, and he's upset. And then the next day, because he wears this different outfit, I thought it was the same day, but I'm wrong. He puts circles with X's on his tormentor's cars. He knows who they are. I'm just actually shocked that he knows the other cars. Like Spinner and Jimmy were in one car. Like, how did he know about the other cars? I guess he probably saw them in the back of his head. Like, Rick was probably retaliating with that motion because he was basically saying that, you're making my life a living hell. How would you like it if the shoe's on the other foot? So when you look at things that way, it's like Rick had a point. Like, Rick retaliated with the sole purpose of having the bullies maybe back off. But it did the opposite. It basically made them more mad at Rick. And of course, Sean tells Jay, you can't go to Raj with this paint thing because Raj is going to definitely want to know why Rick retaliated. So basically, Jay knew that he would have to incriminate himself and everyone else. So basically, he said, screw it, we have to get rid of him. Like, it's possible that Sean didn't know that Raj was not really towards Rick and all that. But who knows? Of course, Jimmy's put on the Wacky Brain team because of Heather's motto. And, Toby tries to get Rick to say, if you have a problem with that, go to Simpson. And Rick says no. And then he figures he goes to Raj because he knows that Raj is going to protect him at all times. And the dynamic is weird because he says to Raj that Jimmy has no qualms in hating me. He's a bully and he's bothering me and doesn't want to be my friend. And basically, how Rick says it, Raj takes at face value. Because Rick didn't say the magic words like bullying or all that. Raj, to his credit, could have just said, I don't have time for this right now, Rick. Come back to me later. Or basically the fact that, okay, thanks for telling me, but if things get bad, I'll investigate. But we'll just see what happens. I think that's probably what Raj wanted. Raj was thinking that Rick was just going with him with every simple little problem and all that. And basically he snaps saying, come back to me when something serious happens. And, all that. So, yeah, I think he was thinking that Rick was just coming with every little problem. But it was a big problem. I mean, Rick screwed himself over. Let's not forget that dynamic. When you think about it, it's like Rick could have done a whole lot better to fix the situation on his own terms. Because, he could have told his parents about it. He could have told Raj better. And basically, maybe he gets his answers. Maybe then we won't have to deal with gun violence and all that crap. But no, he just had to be macho. And I guess he did the Snitches Get Stitches philosophy, saying that basically people are going to know and they're going to hurt him even more. But what gets me is that, even after the Orange Ribbon campaign unofficially ended, it's like, what stopped like Jay Spinner and them by beating Rick up outside the dot or something like that afterwards? Before time stands still and all that. But I guess that Rick figured that he doesn't want to visit those places, and he figures he might not get his answers for forgiveness and all that. Although he was pushy in that. Let's not forget that. Thanks, Social Disease Podcast. You've helped me out with this because it makes so much freaking sense. Anyhow, so yeah, I don't know. Rick was lying to himself. He was in a warped reality, and basically his mother said she tried to get him to change schools, but you know, she basically is told by Rick that, we're going to rule the school, the quiz bowl team. And, she believes him. I mean, with his dad being a travel salesman, she's basically the glue that holds the family together. And, Toby sees firsthand that Rick's been lying about things and all that. But the good news for Rick is that he kind of does get some good answers because, when Toby gets busted up, a busted lip thanks to Spinner and Jay because they want to look for Rick. And they know Toby is Rick's friend through the kissing bet. Basically, Rick tells Jimmy that basically, they're going to go after me and they're going after Toby because now they know that he's my ally. And then Jimmy realizes that basically enough is enough. They've been bullying him, but he's still standing and he's not going to leave anytime soon. So basically, he just defends Rick in front of Spinner, Jay, and Alex, and they're upset, especially with Rick flashing the symbol at them. Like, Alex, I think, was trying to get Rick into trouble, but, Rick did himself in by basically admitting his own thing by the sign. But anyway, yeah, so they decide to think of it. It also gets me thinking, it's like, if Toby, Jimmy, and Emma saw firsthand how Rick was being dealt with, like how bad it was, how come they didn't go to, like, the authorities and all that? Emma had a double chance. Like, Emma had Simpson. Like, he is her stepdad, but he's also an administrator at the school. And practically, they all had Radish. But in my mind, I think that Emma stayed away from Radish because she knew damn well that Radish would probably be angry at her for the Orange Ribbon campaign. I think he would have lashed out at her. And possibly that Emma's mindset, she probably would have blamed Paige's clique and all that, basically saying that if I'm going down, they're going down with me. Like, it troubles me how come they didn't say much about it. I mean, for all Radish's thing on Emma. And then Snake would definitely have had some ammo against Radish and basically want him out of the school. Just like that. So, when you look at it, it's weird. But you also have to figure out a few things. And the fact of the matter is that I lost my train of thought. Okay, so anyway, they do the quiz bowl thing, and Rick saves the school against Northern Tech. And it's funny seeing Radish, doing his stuff at his desk and then smiling, like the picture-in-picture. Like he's watching it on his computer, like a badass. And, he's happy. I think he figured that Jimmy and Rick got their stuff together, and he basically is happy that, he set Rick straight. So, why not? So the philosophy is that, they do the paint and feathers, and they set Rick up to be in the tiebreak all by himself because he knows that they'll be standing on a spot on the stage, and then Alex can use her paint and feathers and her student privileges to dump it on him, and basically no one will get a clue. So in a sense, she knew what he was doing. And basically, she was the one who dumped it, despite the fact that there's a Reddit post that said that the Degrassi Extra may have had something to do with it because she was looking exasperated and looking up and didn't applaud when Degrassi won the competition. As it seemed, it's like the Extra didn't do it. I mean, she probably got Alex to do it. Like, that's kind of bullcrap, if you ask me. But anyway, yeah. That scene was weird. I thought that was Manny who looked exasperated. And, I thought I saw someone that resembled Terry. But no. As is, Rick is embarrassed. Emma tries to calm him down because Emma is known for calming him down. And Rick, of course, goes overboard. with the fact that, Emma saved him and basically said that I thought you loved me. I only pitied you get a clue. So basically, Emma was just speaking the truth. She was just trying to do it because it was the right thing to do. And of course, Rick is upset that everyone took the moment away from him. And now Emma's taking the moment away from him. So then he comes home, and this always gets at me. It's like, why did he call out to his parents? He knew both of them were gone. His dad's a traveling salesman, and his mom was probably at work. But basically, yeah, I agree with Fam saying he didn't have a good support system because, no one was there to calm him down and all that. So basically, he's upset, rightfully so. And he practically goes to school with revenge on his mind. Everyone seems to laugh at the joke and all that, except for Toby, who wasn't really happy about that. And then when Rick comes back, he's shocked. He tells Rick everything's going to be okay because Raj is going to do something about it. But Rick doesn't believe him. I mean, who would? So the Taco Bell take is that basically Rick is going to do something once and for all. He goes after Paige as the first potential victim because of how she spread the supposed anti-Rick rhetoric. And without knowing Rick had a gun, although she probably would have had an inkling after what happened on the 6 o'clock news, after she hears about the shooting, she probably thought that she was next. She could have died too. She basically, calms him down. And that's just amazing how she did it without even realizing Rick had a gun. And Rick was going to calm down. And Rick knew. He's like, wait a minute, Paige could not have done it. So basically, Rick had just snapped out of it. It wasn't Paige's fault. So he's like, okay, well, case of wrong, case of right. And then it just had to happen. It just had to happen. Like, Spinner and Jay just had to ruin things, not only for Rick, but for Jimmy. I mean, there's always the hidden agenda in the fact that, they knew what they were doing. It wasn't anything personal. It was just the fact that, Spinner had just done the stupidest thing possible and just bragged about it. And I often wonder what would happen in the situation if Spinner didn't brag. I think Jimmy might have walked. Who knows? But the real question on everyone's lips is that, did they do it on purpose? Like, this is one of my takes that nobody said anything about, is that could it be possible that they did it on purpose because Jimmy switched sides? Because remember, Time Stand Still Part 1, those two, like Spinner, Jay, Alex, and Jimmy were bullying him and all that. And Jimmy got called to the other side. And it personally peeved Spinner and Jay. I think in a way that they're upset that Jimmy switched sides and they were making trouble for Jimmy because of that. Well, of course, Jimmy, being the star athlete he is, couldn't outrun Rick's gun. But what nobody said, Vamp didn't say this, Eric didn't say this, Jasper and Bridget didn't say this, was that when you look at it, he closed his eyes and all that. If he really wanted to hurt Jimmy, he would have opened his eyes and gone for the head. But no, he aimed and he got Jimmy in the spine. And Craig just had to see it. Of course, Craig was victimized because the fact is he and Joey had a falling out because of the health situation. And so basically, Craig went to school because he'd rather be at school sick than be with Joey at the house. And Joey realizes that Craig was right. All that. So anyway, yeah, that's a big take. And of course, another take is that why were Why were Emma, Toby, and Sean walking in the wrong direction? I mean, Rick was ready to destroy him once and for all. Toby tries to kind of calm Rick down, but he fails miserably. Sean tries to do the right thing. And, he still wants Emma. I mean, I honestly think that he thought that Emma was just basically playing him like a fiddle. I mean, Rick is a terrible person, but I mean, he deserved better. So he goes after Emma. Emma sees someone die right in front of her. She's got problems. The school has to deal with a lot of things. And Radich has to deal with a lot of things too, because understandably, the big thing is that to varying levels of degree did those three people talk about Radich and his involvement. But basically, Snake takes a hissy fit to Radich. And rightfully so. I mean, he says that basically Radich failed his hindsight. And in the deleted scene, he basically said that make friends is not part of the curriculum, meaning he missed the point. Again, he had a chance to redeem himself, and he failed. Like, he's finding the answers and all that, but probably because he knows that if this gets out, he's in deep trouble. I don't know. So Snake had a hissy fit, and he has the right to. Even if Emma was not his stepdaughter, I mean, he still would have been ticked off and all that. And, I feel that, Snake had troubles. And, Snake took it personally, and he did admit some guilt and all that. And said that we failed Rick. And that was the nicest thing Rick could have said about the situation, is that we failed Rick. And, he took accountability. And, Spitter did have the guilt at first, bear in mind, because, he was close to, like, telling on himself. He figured he needed to, for Jimmy's sake, tell the truth, because he wanted Jimmy back. And, well, good foreshadowing is that, Jay said, either outcome, he was your best friend. He won't want to be your best friend after what happened. And said that we may have got Jimmy killed. We didn't do anything stupid. So it's like, a lot of things. A lot of things went wrong. I mean, some students, I bet Dolls to Donuts took it harshly, saying that we screwed up. Maybe we should not have bullied Rick as much. But in essence, I mean, like the school, like, I'm not saying that what they did was right with the whole anti-Rick campaign, with the whole bullying Rick campaign, but they had a good point. But the school wasn't doing anything, and they basically felt helpless. But doing this was wrong. And the solid take is from Back in Black is like, Sean feels great. And I couldn't help but feel that when I rewatched the Back in Black scenes and all that they were just trying to get Sean to open up and maybe admit guilt and all that. I'm like, are you for real? I don't know why, but I feel like the school was just trying to get Sean to open up and admit that he killed somebody. That's kind of pathetic, don't you think? Regardless, it's just not happening. So I look at, well, they didn't really look deep into Back in Black with Emma being with Sean and all that. She was with Sean to Wasaga Beach. She was there with Ellie. I mean, I think she knew that Ellie was Sean's girlfriend. And they have a relaxing time. Now, I know Jasper and Bridget said that, why would Emma skip school and all that? Technically, it was just a day of of opening the schools for guidance counselors and all that. That's what Raj said, because schools sometimes don't do that. Like, they want time for reflection and all that. And basically, they're going to open the school. I mean, Raj doesn't say there are classes that day. So, yeah. So, I did a video about Emma being with Sean, of course, in the playlist. But the fact is, guys, that Emma really wanted to be with Sean. And it was because Sean saved her life and all that. I mean, I can't blame Emma whatsoever that Emma's life got saved. And in her mind, she probably figured that nobody else would probably want to save her life. I think that was what the problem was. The problem was that she probably had in her head that basically the school hated her so badly that no one would have cared if she died. Well, some would have cared, but who? But how many people really would have cared? It's as simple as that. It's like, would Emma if Emma had died, how many people would be really sad? I mean, after all, she did get spurned by a lot of people, and I mean a lot. I mean, a lot of it was her fault with the being petty towards the Chris situation. I mean, I like Emma in a sense, but Emma sometimes can be freaking annoying. That was the main thing in Back in Black, and the fact that if Toby not getting his PTSD help. Well, I mean, honestly, did you really think that that could happen? I mean, they should have done enough for Toby. I mean, the poor guy just got put into the back burner with these situations, It's just sad. We could have explored Toby's problems, but basically it just turned out to be just an attempt to come back to JT and all that. And Manny was right to blast JT for abandoning Toby, because she figures that Toby would have showed loyalty. Toby showed more loyalty than he did, and she was right. So yeah, Sean, of course, has the suicide attempt, quote unquote, and all that. Like, he doesn't like to open up. People sometimes bottle things up, and that's true. So then, he comes back. He leaves for Wasaga. He leaves Ellie and Emma high and dry. I mean, Ellie takes a hard time with it because she's like, why would Sean want to leave me? And also, you got to realize with the fact that, Emma really wanted to be with Sean. I mean, fight me all you want on that point, but I like you. So, when it comes down to the nitty gritty, it's like, Emma knew what she was doing. She wanted Sean because, might have made her feel better. And then, of course, they go with Voices Carrie. I like the main plot with Craig and Ashley. But in the end, it basically fell flat because the B plot was actually worthy of something. I mean, I know that they didn't really talk about much about the B plot, the three of them, but I will. So basically, Radich is upset over the fact that Dracula is going to take place just mere days after the shooting. And, Liberty and JT are basically telling him, saying that we need to heal and all that. This will probably heal. And he says, can't we do anything else about it? I mean, it's understandable. Like, putting off Dracula. I mean, even postponing it would have been a better move for Radich, because then, all that. But to me, it actually feels like it's just a mission of guilt. And, he's probably worried that if he puts Dracula on, someone's going to complain. And all that. Now, Radich, I know, doesn't have the best memory of things, but I think that if he remembered about the Claude Tanner situation, remember, he was the VP in that situation, and he said something to the lines of, what are we going to do about the school talent show and all that? And Spike comes up with the bright idea that they should do like a benefit. I mean, have both, the best of both worlds. Because honestly, they could do the show and then they have it like a fundraiser for bully teens and all that. And everyone agrees to the idea. But no, like, it's sinister. You may not agree with me, but I feel that Dan Radich's motives were that basically twofold. Well, he's got a problem. He's got a problem. He's got it. He's got a school that is on the 6 o'clock news for all the wrong reasons. He's got to deal with the personal guilt. Maybe he did screw up with Rick the whole time, and everyone was right. But more important than that, he wanted to keep his job. He probably was just so worried about losing this job. He was not willing to help with the students. Maybe he was just nervous. Like, I can't blame the guy. I mean, he's got problems up the wazoo. But then you got yourself the thinking that, okay, the play should have happened. It should have happened. I mean, Raj was right. It was gory to a sense, but it was comical. It was like a dramedy, if you will. But he overreacted, in a sense. And the students took him to task, and just like almost always, when Liberty and JT try to tell him something, he takes it the wrong way, and he basically punishes them. But the joke was on him. He ends up being kicked to the curb in Bark at the Moon. It should have been a bigger plot. I mean, okay, got the Spinner and Manny dynamic and the Paige and Mr. O dynamic being the main stuff. But, a beloved OG character was gone. Well, beloved in some circles, maybe not in everyone else's circles. I mean, the guy freaking is an icon. I know that he was basically portrayed as being kind of stupid and all that. Like, they basically they might have pinned a lot of things on him. But at the end of the day, I mean, like, he was still an icon. And he deserved to get kicked to the curb for what he did. No doubt about it. I mean, he probably thought that the school board would have his back. I think that was basically his thinking, is that, despite me slipping up, I think the school board will have my back. And, maybe I'll stay on. I know the school board reassigns him. The school board must have had to take a hit, too, because, I mean, they would have straight out fired him. Or maybe, remember, this plotline happened in 2005, so I think that the whole firing situation, the whole cancel culture would have done him in. I think in 2020 he would have definitely been fired without even a whimper. But I mean, he took it hard. Who wouldn't take it hard? And Eric was right. He was salty about it. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, Raj screwed up and he ruined himself. And Snake just wanted him to take accountability. I bet you there was some kind of hearing, and basically there would be a lot of people who would say how much Radish was terrible and all that. To the point of probably saying that, he screwed up the school and all that. And the students weren't really willing to come close to him. But, of course, Radish is just Radish. He's got to do what he's got to do. And then poor Emma, I mean, it seemed like in the few episodes between Back in Black and Secret, she was fine. She seemed fine. Unfortunately, we all learned that she was lying to herself and all that. She wasn't fine. She still had the trauma. She was trying her best to deal with the situation, but she basically kept failing at things. And, her schoolwork was suffering, her friendship was suffering. I wonder if Manny and Liberty actually did try to reach out to Emma. And I guess they did, because I guess they did figure that Emma needed their help and all that. But I think I think she probably thought that they weren't willing to help her out because of what she did of Chris. I wonder if she apologized for what she did to about the Chris situation. Probably. But yeah, Emma went through a lot of trauma and all that. I mean, in a weird way, Jay actually helped Emma get herself out of trouble and all that to snap out of it. I mean, that's one good thing about Jay. But, I still hate the guy. So, yeah, Emma's trauma basically was not good. And she knew it. And she knew she had to change for the better. And she tells Snake and Spike she just wanted to be perfect after even the Rick situation. In a sense, she's admitting guilt that she may have played a part in Rick's death. But I doubt it highly. I mean, okay, maybe she does admit some stuff, but I mean, it wasn't all her fault. I mean, the students took her cause incorrectly. Paige's clip basically made her persona non grata, and, not a lot of people were talking to her. But of course, just like Jasper and Bridget say, the people were walking on eggshells around her. Like, why? They just had this perception that Emma was perfect, and, they didn't care if Emma was off. They thought Emma always bounces back, and that's the problem with Emma's character. I mean, Emma's a sweetheart, all that. I mean, the writers reset her character. Unfortunately, it would bite them in the butt, I feel. Because, hear me out, because of the fact that if Emma was her regular self, first seasons 1 to 3, she would never have gone near Peter, especially after what Peter did to Manny. But she basically was boy crazy. And they reset her in the wrong way, I felt. So, yeah, I wasn't too pleased about that. They reset her in the wrong way because Emma would never have been your Peter. And what none of them, I think, said was that the lack of causes. Like, Emma was the cause girl, but after the Rick situation, how many causes did she take up? She really didn't take up too many causes. She took up a cause to get Sean out of jail, even though that she was with Peter. So Emma actually might have wanted to be with Sean over Peter. But she never told Peter, and Peter freaked out. Yeah, Peter freaked out because of this. Can't blame the guy. I mean, what would happen if you realize that you lost somebody and that she decides to go off with somebody? She goes off with some other person. It doesn't have to be that way, but anyway, perception is great in hindsight. But I mean, she ended up being boy crazy. I mean, to me, when she got reset, it seemed to be a good idea at the time. But the problem was that we reset her too well. She became boy crazy and all of that. Like, yeah, and their cause is Purple Dragon and all that. It's just amazing. But to me, and this is something you can take to the bank, that, Emma probably only wanted friends because she knew that she lost Manny and Liberty as friends, but also because she might have figured as a person that if I think she figured that if she had a boyfriend, that maybe if she had a boyfriend when Rick was being crass towards her, basically she thought that maybe the boyfriend would have protected her from Rick. You never know. That could happen. I think she just wanted to have protection and all that from people like Rick. And then you finally got to Spinner. It's like Eye of the Tiger and all that. I like that thing. But then you got yourself the fact that, Spinner was helping Jimmy out. Spinner did a good job and all that. he knew he had to help Jimmy out. I mean, who wouldn't help Jimmy out? So basically, the guilt and all that. And Jimmy surprisingly says that I should have been out of the hospital helping you deal with the situation after it. It's like, you're you're in the wheelchair and you want to help Spinner. Like Jimmy understood that Spinner didn't come to the hospital because of his condition and he didn't want to see his best friend in a wheelchair. So Spinner tries to make it up to Jimmy, but in the end, it didn't work out. Jimmy then gives this nice monologue. I like the monologue. I just hate the fact that he said, I wish Rick had better aim. It's like, what the hell, Jim? But, Spinner needed to tell the truth and all that. And, get things off his chest. Because if it got out to anyone else, he probably would have lost. He probably would have been in jail or something like that. Or in juvie. So, anyway. It's hard to say. But, Spinner got ostracized. And Spinner and Jasper was right. That Spinner was just trying to force people to forgive him, saying that, I did wrong. Just tell me what I need to do to get your forgiveness back. And Jimmy basically said that you're not my friend. What type of friend leaves someone in the lurch? Basically by telling Rick I did it. No, you're only doing this to save yourself so that you can alleviate your guilt. Of course, he then tells Hatzalakos he gets expelled, rightfully so. He names Jay as a co-conspirator. Alex gets saved that she's not part of it. I think because, the bathroom, and I think they both don't want Alex to get in trouble. And Spinner did a good redemption song. Like, he knew he was going to have to earn his friend's trust the way that they wanted him to earn it. Basically, not by begging for forgiveness like he did in season 4 before he got expelled and all that. Like, he had to go the right way. He had to do it kind of like what Rick needed to do if he wanted people to forgive him for his trespasses. So basically, yeah. Spinner was a decent character. Ranker.com, I think, named him the number one Degrassi character. And, he learned his lesson. He had to learn from his mistakes. But here's the one take you should take to the grave, no pun intended. The fact of the matter is, and this, you can take this to the bank, Rick Murray should in no way be sympathized. We should have no sympathy for Rick whatsoever. The simple thing is, all Rick had to do was basically let himself get in trouble. Basically, no retaliation, no nothing. And he would have won. He would have been the hero. In depth, he would have been a hero, and he would have been basically, he would have got his own way. He would have been celebrated and maybe sympathized. But when you bring a fucking gun to the school, no matter what he was going to do with the gun, that makes you a villain. I mean, to bring a gun to the school in any capacity is just terrible. Like, Rick was inside his own head. He thought he needed revenge, so he went after Paige, and Paige basically calmed him down, and he was going to basically put the gun in his locker, and nothing else happened. He goes to the bathroom to clean himself up, and then Jay and Spitter just had to fill Rick's head with BS. That was old Jimmy and all that. Rick was his own worst enemy. That's the basic part you got to take away from this. All Rick had to do was basically try to tell people better about being bullied and all that, and maybe he had sympathy. But when you bring a gun to the school, when you shoot Jimmy, albeit he closed his eyes and shot him in the spine instead of the head, and when you go after Emma and you nearly shoot Emma, you are definitely not a hero. I know a lot of people are anti-Emma, but the fact of the matter is, it would have ruined Degrassi with Emma being taken out. And Rick does not deserve any sympathy. I know that you can look at the video in the playlist, but the fact of the matter is, you bring a gun to the school with the intention of hurting people and all that and retaliating, you don't get sympathy. I'm sorry, but I know that Rick's parents probably got a lot of trouble because of this whole situation. But I will not say that Rick should be sympathized. I'm sorry he got bullied and all that. I'm sorry that the students took the Orange Ribbon cause the wrong way. And basically, it was mostly because the administration sucked. I'm sorry that Rick never got the answers he wanted. I'm sorry that, Radish was of no help and basically it screwed him over. But sorry, Rick, you're down in hell where you belong. And that's the honest truth. Thank you for watching. Have a good day and watch my stuff, please.